We need to talk about Nintendo Switch 2 grifting. Is it real? Is it happening? Or is it just a sensational twist of the headlines? You don't need me to give you an overview of the Switch 2's first year holiday season. You know what the deal is. What is worthy of a quick review is the two types of Switch 2 commentarians that make their bread on YouTube. NintenDeen is critical of Nintendo, and nowadays most of his videos have a negative thesis, involving some kind of critique of Nintendo's practices or the sorry state of the Switch 2. Meanwhile, BoTalksGames makes videos that aim to provide a net W whenever possible. He will always acknowledge the game's shortcomings in a factual sense, but by the end of the video, you're looking at a parting thesis that's pretty much affirmation and hype. This type of video can succeed as a product for the gamers who are financially committed to Switch 2, and his videos trend under 5,000 views each. And it's not that he withholds criticism in a review of a game like Pokémon Legends ZA. Bo did acknowledge the awful textures, the contrived city platforming, and the inferiority of a city setting compared to the wilderness. But when it's all told, he's going to put a happy face on this thing, give his thumbs up, and express optimism for the direction of the Pokémon series, with the leaks for Gen 10 as a cause for further hype. But meanwhile, over on the negative side of Switch 2 YouTube is the perspective of NintenDeen, that Legend ZA is a Switch 1 game that shouldn't be anchoring a console bundle. In that way, NintenDeen videos affirm my personal assessment of Legend ZA throughout the runtime of his videos. So, things between these two commentarians have come to a head in the immediate wake of ZA. BoTalksGames did a positive review and got backlash. So Bo's response is to diagnose these complaints as unnecessary, fueled by, here we go, negativity grifting YouTubers. He calls out NintenDeen and others for having no good faith, no nuance. Because if you look at NintenDeen's recent upload feed, it's mostly negative topics, and the tentpole smash hit videos are the biggest slams on this console. Switch 2 Buyer's Remorse is kinda the opus of this current era. 500,000 views. An emblem of where Nintendo is at these days. And of course, he has his original manifesto on why he chose to vote with his wallet and skip the console, like I did. Where Bo goes wrong is to then accuse these negativity tubers of being crabby just to do it, just as a cheap fake way to farm views, by saying things you don't mean in bad faith. So, no, Bo is unfortunately completely wrong on this point. NintenDeen has an exclusivity deal with negativity, because for positive videos, there's plenty of other channels for that. Nathaniel Bandy types, Beat 'em Ups Woody, they're going to give viewers a slam dunk win that will always enhance their enjoyment of the game, enrich it. Poke fun along the way for bogus things in Mario Wonder, but these viewers are not looking for any dissent that's going to interrupt their steady train of consumer entertainment. So NintenDeen provides a focused voice. He is clear about his intent so that no one gets jump scared by any bad vibes that they really don't want at this time. That way he doesn't need to pander to all the different factions of the community. The pro-Nintendo lobby is already overserved elsewhere. That's the same reason there's no problem for a movie tuber like Chris Stuckmann, who decided he's not going to do negative movie reviews anymore. He's just here to promote his own upcoming movie by doing positive, celebratory recommendations. He's leaving the genuine critiques to other channels like The Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic, who are the NintenDeens of movie content creators. It doesn't mean that Chris Stuckmann's positive focus reviews are in bad faith. NintenDeen may admire some things about Nintendo's current output, but why should he spend time and emotions on those now? Nintendo needs to earn him back. And me back. Once Furukawa creates a more respectful arrangement with gamers, if that day ever came. Because outside of the big money machines like Beat 'em Ups would, the genuine cultural battleground happens with your BoTalksGames types. And the main character of the Switch 2 era is pretty much NintenDeen. He's a voice for a lot of us. After all, if you're watching this video right now, chances are you have a Nintendo Switch 1 that you spent hundreds of dollars on. Like me, and you looked at the Switch 2's lineup of prices and games and said, no thanks. We alienated fans are so numerous that the Buyer's Remorse video is a smash hit, getting 5 times the views that Botox could even hope to get. BoTalksGames is just angsting this out in real time, berating his audience because they don't agree that Switch 2 has a good amount of exclusives? What? You look at the games here for the first holiday year, everything is a Switch 1 port or a spin-off, especially if DK Bananza is a spin-off of Mario. And with Mario Kart World, I'm half joking about it being a Switch 1 port, but it's the one case where a tentpole game cancels the Switch 1 version to drive new console sales. Could the Switch 1 have handled the open world in Mario Kart World? Well, Wii U aspired to do open world Zelda and did, and Tears of the Kingdom has massive seamless areas. You tell me. We're not even going to mention micro games like Dragon Drive or Kirby Starcross World. We're not even going to show those on screen. Show some respect. Those are crumbs. Botox fails to persuade many of us that the Switch 2's first year of games is objectively better than Switch 1's debut year. What? Mario Odyssey plus Splatoon 2? And a Wii U port of the most important game of the generation, Breath of the Wild. That game was an incredible sell for most gamers, because who owns a Wii U? That's a powerhouse of relevant must-have experiences. What good is a third-party port on Switch 2 if you're always going to have anxiety that it's not going to run well at times? What's the use at that point? You should just go for the Steam Deck Full Monty. And there's no double standard in people's complaints about Nintendo prices. Bo says, if Nintendo's price problems are so bad, why don't you see the PlayStation and Xbox fans revolting the same way? This price increase is happening with all gaming companies. Well, it's because Nintendo was always known as the budget-friendly alternative. Was Bo around for $99 GameCubes at Walmart? The Switch 2's surprise prices abruptly cut out that segment of people who relied on that affordability to participate, who were brought into Nintendo's orbit through that very affordability. That tipped the scale of their prior purchases, so no wonder they're upset. PlayStation and Xbox have always been known as premium machines with premium prices. That's regular for them. So this is only a Nintendo-exclusive crisis. There's no double standard with a price backlash. Those are two genuinely different scenarios with the same criteria applied consistently. Bo still can't understand people's concerns that the Switch 2's game library doesn't have enough system sellers. Bo says, if you're happy with your Switch 2, what does it matter if the Switch 2 does big numbers or not? Well, Botox, the reason system sellers are needed is to prevent an outcome where you get Wii U'd. The hardcore Wii U fans were certainly willing to humor Nintendo for all their fanciful games, and they may have loved it. But if it has no broader market appeal, the Wii U was abandoned prematurely on account of bad sales. So the people who bought in ended up getting bad bang for their buck. Nintendo took those fans for granted and delayed Breath of the Wild past 2015 to eventually cut the gamepad element that was supposed to be the in-game tablet, the big thing that would finally justify the awkward hardware in the first place. And when you play the game, you still do have to look at Link marvel over his in-game Wii U gamepad in the first minute of the game. This moment right here could be the ultimate emblem of Nintendo's downfall, telegraphing all the tragedies of the Switch 2 era. Don't forget this game was initially referenced as Zelda for Wii U, to ensure that everyone out there knew that the Wii U console even existed and needed to be bought to play the game once that day came. It was announced to release in 2015, and part of the reason it didn't was because the Wii U did not have system sellers. So the fans who invested in the hardware got so much less mileage out of their purchase. And if the Switch 2 has no legit system sellers, and currently it don't, even Botox acknowledges that, then Switch 2 becomes this bogus elephant stuck in the mud, where Nintendo is already now investing effort into Switch 3 planning, the true next gen. Switch 2 is just a cute marketing code name for Switch 1 Pro. As we wrap up and look forward to more developments in the saga of DK Bananza's generation, I don't want to make it seem like all the truth of this matter will be determined by console sales numbers in 2026 and beyond. If the Switch 2 is a decent enough success in the long haul, this would not invalidate NintenDeen's commentary. It just means that if last-gen ports and spin-offs are enough meat on the bone, and if enough people affirm those $40 Galaxy ports, then NintenDeen can turn around and say, "I told you so," when the Switch 3 game lineup is horrendous. It's about time to wrap up the topic of Bo's grifting concerns in a nice neat bow in the NintenDeen courtyard. And this has been Alex Yard here at 91.6 WAYZ, the Alex Yard Zone, terrestrial internet radio. If you see us running, try to keep up, because we are running to our Steam store homepage to check out all the great games we can get with the budget freed up from not buying a Switch 2 in 2025. And that's the case for most Nintendo fans, including me. That's why there's demand for NintenDeen's commentary. It's not complicated. What are BoTalksGames' biggest tentpole videos? Galaxy 1 Plus 2 with a happy expression, Mario Kart World, Bananza. You're aiming for 5K views per video. Bo and Deen each have about 30,000 subs, where NintenDeen targets 50K views per video typically. That makes sense. These days, most Nintendo fans are unregistered. That checks out. I would never say these numbers determine anything necessarily or validate truth in themselves, but after all of Bo's paper tiger swipes, BoTalksGames view counts don't leave him with a leg to stand on. Yeah. As you can tell, this video I've made here today is not saying NintenDeen is some hero of epic quality commentary, and his biggest flaw is overanalyzing every tiny update of sales numbers. It becomes blatant padding at times, and I typically skip those videos, but it's not like there's no good reason to reflect upon sales data in the first place. People who are celebrating Switch 2 sales needed to be brought back down to earth, but I never said NintenDeen's perfect. You get speculation and other padding, and an Arlo-adjacent delivery, like a kindergarten teacher. The Famitsu sales charts seem obvious, but there's more to Furukawa's long game. That aside, what matters much more is that with NintenDeen, you know what you're getting. I don't click on every video of his, and even the ones I do click, I don't listen all the way through necessarily, but as a commentarian with his finger on the pulse of Nintendo discourse consistently, he provides a voice that none of us should take for granted, with comprehensive coverage that can feel exhausting at times, but all told, it needs to exist comprehensively to put a good type of pressure on Nintendo. And thus, BoTalksGames should fall back. It's not like I'm telling Bo to stop YouTube. I never would. Free speech, free press for the long haul. Just, Bo should understand, we NintenDeen viewers are capable of hearing everything Deen says with critical thinking, holding him accountable on sales chart speculation, and we make up our own mind. He's not tricking us. So it's out of place for a micro-tuber like Bo to claim deception in a bad faith narrative. Bo cites 0 examples of NintenDeen stoking the flames with misinformation or bad faith. Bo is simply working at this point with a hypothesis that is untested. At this point, he might as well say, they keep making more seasons of The Walking Dead because they know they'll get a ton of viewership. Yeah? And? So as a parting sentiment to boil this all down in a nutshell, at the end of the day, ultimately, when it's all said and done and the cookie crumbles for the pieces to fall where they may, which is what it comes down to is that BoTalksGames offers affirmation. NintenDeen offers critique. Both are important voices, and no single channel needs to represent the full spectrum of viewpoints comprehensively with equal coverage. A focused angle is not the same thing as bad faith bias. So to call a NintenDeen treatise just grifting misunderstands his focus. NintenDeen is intentional, transparent, and necessary. Good night, everybody. Did you pre-order Legend ZA on Switch 1? The rumor mill says the development of Legends ZA finished up back in the fall of 2023 on a modest budget of $13 million. But hey, Mario Kart World Deluxe on Switch 3 will be the redemption story. Good night, everybody.